Hello, welcome to Bored and Confused, where I review shows based on two criteria. One, was I bored? Two, was I confused? Today's play is Archduke, playing off-Broadway at the Roundabout at Laura Pels Theater, Harold and Miriam Steinberg Center for Theater. Before I jump into this, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and allows me to get press tickets for new plays like Archduke. All right, let's get into this. Archduke is written by Rajiv Joseph, who is a member of the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago. He is a playwright that is often commissioned to write plays. He has many Obie Awards, and he was a Pulitzer Prize finalist for the Bengal tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. So Roundabout Theater Company commissioned this play from Rajiv, and he began in 2010, so this has had a really long development period. It premiered in Los Angeles at the Mark Taper Forum in 2017, and now it's having its New York debut at the Laura Pels Theater. What is this play about? Well, this play dramatizes the events and conspirators around the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand that set off World War I. It is a dark comedy, and it focuses on these three revolutionaries who committed the murder. Primarily the lead character of Gavrilo is the one who actually shot the Duke. This play starts with these young men who are poor. They have consumption. They've been told by a doctor that they have a month to live, and then this doctor has said, go meet this person, and he tells one, you'll get a job. He tells another, you'll find meaning to your life. And what this play does is it shows us how these young men can be radicalized to do something like commit an assassination because they believe that they will become heroes. They're Serbian, and they believe they'll become heroes in their country because this captain who organizes this assassination regales them with the stories of how they will be great. So, was I bored? Was I confused? Bored? No, and I shall tell you why. There's 5 actors in this play, and 2 of those actors are Kristine Nielsen and Patrick Page, who are fantastic and hilarious, and I love them. I also love the other 3 actors, Jake Byrne, Adrian Roulette, and Jason Sanchez, who play these young would-be revolutionaries. They're fantastic as well, and it's great to see these talented young actors early on in their career because I'm sure they will go on to great things. Pet peeve, real quick. When you're doing an off-Broadway play and your characters have names that are unusual to my ear and hard to remember, and there's no photos in the program because it's off-Broadway, I would appreciate if you put them in order of appearance and not alphabetical order. That's just a pet peeve because each character had an individual entrance and I would know who they were. Alphabetically, I'm like, wait, what was his name? What was her name? Anyhow. So the characters, we've got 3 revolutionaries, and then we've got this man who I'm going to call the captain, because like no way I can pronounce his name, Dragutin Apis Dimitriv, played by Patrick Page, and then he's got this lady cook, housemaid assistant named Slajana, played by Kristine Nielsen. They are hilarious in this. Their scenes are the funniest, and the play moves at a pretty good clip. It's 2 acts with, I think, a 15-minute intermission, but it felt like it moved fast. I didn't feel like I was in there more than 2 hours. So never bored with this play. The performances are great. Some great moments. Patrick Page's first scene where he's pontificating and regaling these young men with the stories of this regicide he committed and killed a king and a queen, how glorious it was, and how glorious they're going to be when they do this great thing for their country, and they will be remembered and they will not be forgotten. There's also this ongoing through line of these poor guys who've never had a decent meal and have never had a bed to sleep in. The biggest thing in their life is having a sandwich. They just really want to have this sandwich, that's warm sandwich that they're so excited about. And they also compare it with wanting to be with a woman for the first time. So it's very simple wants they have. And these characters are very endearing. Kristine Nielsen and Patrick Page are just hilarious in their characters. Kristine Nielsen has this cart that she keeps rolling in that's a squeaky little cart. And just her pushing the squeaky cart in was just making me chuckle. So let's get into confusion. Was I confused? I was a little confused by the tone of this play. It starts out with the character of Gavrilo, and he feels very truthful with his acting. And this is a black comedy, but it borders on being a farce. And normally with farces, I like truthful acting because the situation and the dialogue is so crazy that the more truthful you play it, the funnier it is. A lot of this dialogue on the page, I feel like just reading it, it's not so clearly farcical or comedic. It is at times, but a lot of it feels like it could be sincere. So I think this was a challenge for the director, who appropriately is Darko Trejnak, who is from Serbia, who won a Tony Award for directing Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which is also a darkly comic show, which I loved. Great direction on that show. So I think the challenge with this play is that the writing isn't so obviously one thing or another. It really feels like the author is wanting to explore the human side of these characters, but also give us a very dark comedy. And sometimes those are at odds. It felt like Patrick Page and Kristine Nielsen were in a dark comedy that was very broad with the acting. And right behind them was Jason Sanchez with his character of Nijelko. Then Adrian Rolette felt like he was playing it more truthful in the first scene, but then as we move into later scenes, he started to feel more comedic to me and a little more broad. And then Gavrilo, he feels mostly truthful with his acting, although it's still comedic. So this isn't saying anything against the actors, because I feel the challenges in the script, and the director really has a challenge of trying to navigate these characters that feel like they're in different plays. And it could work as we start more serious and truthful, and then we get wilder and wilder. But what happens is then we've got the characters that are playing it more truthful, and then we've got the characters that are playing more broad, and then they're in scenes together. And those scenes get confusing to me, because I'm like, what are we doing in this scene? You know, when Patrick Page is driving the scene, it's comedic. But then when it becomes more of an equal banter between the captain and this young revolutionary, I'm losing what exactly we're doing. So that was my big confusion with the show, is just tone. But despite the tone confusions, the play is still very interesting and very thought-provoking. Another confusion I had was with Kristine Nielsen's character, in that she, later in the play, it seems like she does not support the captain and his revolutionary ideals. But I didn't feel that early on in the play. I thought she was just kind of this bumbling comedic force who just keeps bringing in the wrong box after the captain has requested she bring in the box. But then I started wondering later, was she purposely bringing in the wrong box? Was she subtextually trying to subvert his goals? But I wasn't really sure with that, so I'm a little confused by that character arc. This play actually really reminded me of two Quentin Tarantino movies. It reminds me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Inglourious Basterds. And what these movies have in common is they both take these tragic events. One, the Manson murders in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and in Inglourious Basterds, the Nazis and Hitler. And in both of these movies, it reimagines history, where in one, Hitler and the Nazis get stopped, Hitler gets killed by this ragtag bunch of soldiers, and in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, this Brad Pitt's character, this kind of wanderer, finds himself in the right place at the right time to prevent this awful murder from happening. And those films are darkly comedic, but I think what really makes them so enjoyable is that we see these fictional characters stopping this tragedy from happening. But that in this play, in Archduke, our main characters are the perpetrators of the crime. But I feel tonally, if this play could walk the same line that Inglourious Basterds and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does, where it feels truthful, the characters feel real, but yet they're leaning into the comedic kind of ridiculousness of this false history that they're putting forward to us. Spoiler alert, the end of this play has a really sweet ending where it tells us what really happened, but then it gives the characters an opportunity to wonder what would have happened if they had chosen the sandwich over the assassination, which is a really sweet ending that I really enjoyed. So let me wrap this up. Bored? Not at all. These actors are fantastic. All five of them. Really enjoyed their performances, but I was confused by the tone of the play. I think it is helpful for you to know that it's a black comedy and to know that it is about real people, which I didn't know going in, but I surmised as I was watching the play. But I think it'll help you get into the spirit of the comedic aspect if you know, and come on, the illustration on the playbill should really key you off on that this is a comedic play. So where can you get tickets? The tickets prices run, I believe, between $65 and like $120 at the box office, but Roundabout has their Hip Tix program, which allows you to get tickets if you're between 18 and 40. You can get tickets for $30, which is amazing, totally worth it for this show. And I imagine this show might be popping up on Today Tix and other places, so keep an eye out for that. I really enjoyed this play. If it sounds interesting to you, please check it out and comment below what you thought of this play. And I will see you at the next one.
Keep me amused with what's in front of me, 'cause